Almost a full 16 years since its first run, Flatlined, Scrubs has been resuscitated. After all that time, here's a refresher on who's who and what's what at Sacred Heart Hospital. The first 8 seasons of Scrubs focus on Dr. John Dorian, who usually goes by JD. Aside from a few notable exceptions where other characters take over for an episode, JD serves as the narrator of the series, letting viewers in on his thoughts and feelings, including some far-fetched daydreams and fantasies. The Scrubs pilot finds JD fresh out of med school, working his first day as a medical intern at Sacred Heart, a teaching hospital in the fictional San Defrangeles, California. Alongside him is Dr. Christopher Turk, JD's college and med school roommate. Turk is a surgical intern, which makes JD worry about a possible divide between him and his best friend.
So the surgical interns are gonna go grab a beer.
The medical interns are having a Pac-Man tournament.
He doesn't really have anything to worry about, though. JD and Turk's bromance is one of the most consistently close relationships in the series. JD and Turk also soon meet Dr. Elliot Reed, another new medical intern. JD is instantly attracted to her, leading to years of will they, won't they storylines. The pilot also introduces nurse Carla Espinoza, who has to do one of JD's first procedures for him, a routine IV placement. She and Turk share an instant attraction. Though it's often silly, Scrubs has regularly been cited as one of the most accurate medical shows on TV, particularly in terms of what things are like in the hospital work environment. Back in 2009, Jonathan Samuels, an attending rheumatologist at the NYU Hospital for Joint Diseases, told Slate of JD's inner monologue. He says exactly what a resident feels, day in or day out. Am I hurting the patient? Am I learning what I should? Am I kissing up too much to the attending? I always thought Scrubs was right on. The Scrubs pilot also sets up the main antagonists of the series, who have complicated relationships with JD, Turk, and Elliot. First, there's Dr. Perry Cox, an attending physician who is often hard on the residents under his supervision, especially JD.
You want some real advice? If they find out the nurses are doing your procedures for you, your ass will be kicked out of here so quick it'll make your head spin.
But the truth of the matter is that, despite his prickly exterior, Dr. Cox really just wants the best for the physicians he's overseeing. He serves as JD's mentor, and eventually they become good friends, though the sarcasm never really turns off.
He was my friend. Thank you, God.
The character you can really call the villain of the series is Dr. Bob Kelso, Sacred Heart's chief of medicine. Dr. Cox hates him.
Dr. Kelso is the most evil human being on the planet and may in fact be Satan himself.
JD gets an object lesson in what Dr. Cox means by that comment at the end of the pilot, when Dr. Kelso reveals his true colors to JD.
If the patient has insurance, you treat them. If they don't, you show them the door.
While Dr. Kelso does soften a little as the series goes on, his penny-pinching ways remain a key component of his character. Another antagonist specifically for JD is Sacred Heart's unnamed and enigmatic Janitor, who immediately starts giving JD a hard time.
Did you stick a penny in there?
No, I was just making small talk.
If I find a penny in there, I'm taking you down.
Rather than do his job, the Janitor usually spends his time coming up with elaborate pranks to play on JD. He also twists everything JD says into an insult. The Janitor often tells stories to everyone, not just JD, that are revealed to be outright lies. He's briefly fired from Sacred Heart, but scams his way into getting his job back. The Janitor also has a somewhat creepy romantic obsession with Elliot, who he just calls Blonde Doctor because he doesn't know her name. Late in the series, he gets married to Lardinia Williams, who usually just goes by Lady. Janitor's real name is revealed to be Glenn Matthews in the Season 8 finale, where he also confronts JD one final time.
It's also the penny that you put in the door 8 years ago.
For the last time, I did not put a penny in the door.
Admit it!
He only appears in one episode of Season 9, when he's informed JD has left Sacred Heart and isn't coming back. He drops his mop and disappears. It's unclear as of the making of this video whether the Janitor will return for the Scrubs reboot. Actor Neil Flynn's participation hasn't yet been confirmed by the producers. Besides the main cast, Sacred Heart has a deep bench of weirdos to make sure things always stay interesting. In addition to Carla, there's another nurse who's often on the floor, the sometimes intimidating Laverne Roberts. A devout Christian, she often tries to inspire the doctors to be better. She also loves soap operas and gossip.
You know, I shacked up with a man before I was married, too. His name was Jesus.
Another surgeon who's often around is Dr. Todd Quinlan, or The Todd, a sex-obsessed jock who has a dog tattoo on his right biceps. He rarely wears sleeves. He loves high fives.
Come on, show Todd some love.
I hate showing Todd love.
He's also a great surgeon despite his outward appearance. Late in the show's run, he's revealed to be in a polygamous relationship with a married couple. There's also the hospital's lawyer, Ted Buckland. Incurably nervous and self-hating, Ted often simply serves as Dr. Kelso's punching bag. He's not a very good attorney. Ted's one real love is music. He's a member of an a cappella group, the Worthless Peons. He leaves lawyer life behind in Season 9 to tour and play music with his girlfriend, Stephanie Gooch. He later appears on Cougar Town, another show co-created by Scrubs creator Bill Lawrence, still making music but having broken up with the Gooch. One other character who's around Sacred Heart for several seasons is Doug Murphy, a pathologist. He's clumsy, forgetful, and took the job at the morgue after killing a lot of patients as a medical doctor. He's a member of the Janitor's advisory group, the Brain Trust. Robert Macchio is locked in to return as the Todd in the Scrubs reboot, but it's unclear if Aloma Wright, who played Laverne, or Johnny Castle, who played Doug, will come back. Sam Lloyd, who played Ted, sadly passed away in 2022. As we mentioned, JD and Elliot have a tumultuous on-again, off-again romance that serves as a through line through the entire run of Scrubs. They get together but quickly break up in Season 1, and in Season 2, they briefly decide to be friends with benefits while dating other people. For most of the run of the series, they're just friends, and often serve as sounding boards for one another about their dating issues. Their pairings with others span far and wide. Early on, JD hooks up with Dr. Cox's ex, Jordan Sullivan, who's also a member of the hospital board. That obviously creates a lot of tension. Jordan later has a baby, which proves to be Dr. Cox's son, not JD's. They name him Jack. Later, JD does get his girlfriend Kim pregnant, even though they don't have sex.
It never happened.
They have a son together, Sam. Elliot briefly has a fling with JD's own brother, Dan, making JD very jealous. In Season 3, she dates a patient named Sean. She breaks it off and chooses JD instead, but JD then ends things with Elliot.
You finally have me.
Oh my God, I don't want her.
Oddly enough, Sean and Kim end up as a couple. Elliot's longest relationship is with Keith, the Dude Meister, one of JD's interns after he gets upgraded to attending. Elliot and Keith even get engaged, but she eventually breaks off their engagement. By Season 8, JD and Elliot finally end up together. Season 9 reveals they are married and that Elliot is pregnant with their baby. Compared to JD and Elliot, Turk and Carla have an incredibly stable relationship. While they have their fights and misunderstandings here and there, there's never any real question about whether they'll make it. Turk even learns Spanish to communicate with her in 2 languages, though he doesn't immediately reveal it.
I know I am so slow.
Say it in Spanish.
Yo soy muy lento.
That's the joke.
Turk proposes to Carla in the middle of Season 2, but they slow walk their wedding until the end of Season 3. It's interrupted because Turk gets held up in surgery, so they get married by a patient who just happens to be a priest. The biggest hurdle in their marriage ends up being fertility issues, which Carla and Turk finally overcome by Season 6 with the birth of their first daughter, Isabella. Carla is pregnant with a second daughter in Season 8. She becomes a stay-at-home mom after that. Though she often finds Turk and JD's antics immature, surely Carla is proud of her husband for his Turk dance, which he debuts in Season 5 while auditioning for Ted in the Janitor's band. Multiple sources note that actor Donald Faison's moves were taken directly for the protagonist's default dance in Fortnite. We've already mentioned JD's brother, Dan. In addition to jealousy over his brief fling with Elliot, JD also has some shame associated with his older brother, who only ever worked as a part-time bartender. After JD tells Dan to get his act together, Dan becomes a successful real estate agent and even buys JD
A new car!
Turk also has a brother, Kevin. The two get along pretty well. Kevin even paid off his brother's tuition and loans for med school. But Kevin does create some friction when he shows up. While trying to get Carla to accept Turk's marriage proposal, Kevin reveals that his own marriage ended. He and Turk go out and get drunk, and when they return, Carla storms out in anger. Turk also asks Kevin to be his best man, knowing he won't be able to accept. But JD finds out he wasn't the first person Turk asked, leading to some hurt feelings. Dr. Cox also has a sister, Paige, who is a devout Christian. Dr. Cox is decidedly not religious, and doesn't like seeing her because she's a reminder of his difficult childhood. Dr. Cox's ex, Jordan, also has a brother and sister. Her brother Ben is Dr. Cox's best friend, and Jordan's sister Danny dates JD for a while. Elliot has two brothers, Barry and Bradley, but they never appear. They're only talked about.
My brother Barry used to brag about all the girls he was dating right before he quit JV baseball and started dancing for Japanese businessmen.
One thing that Scrubs depicts that other medical shows often don't is the doctors going through financial struggles. More often than not, TV doctors live lavish lives, but not always the interns at Sacred Heart. For instance, in Season 2, Elliot's father Simon, who is himself a doctor and chief of medicine, cuts her off financially after she refuses to follow his wishes and become an OB/GYN. She ends up having to move out of her fancy apartment while also dealing with a malpractice lawsuit.
Lately, I just feel like I'm drowning, you know?
Around that same time, JD and Turk are also facing some financial hardships and wind up having to steal toilet paper and fruit cups from the hospital just to have some necessities at home.
The average resident owes over $100,000 in med school loans and makes about as much as a waiter.
Then, in Season 3, Elliot and Carla get in trouble for moonlighting at an animal hospital. The protagonists of Scrubs aren't on the bottom rung forever, though. By Season 4, Dr. Cox designates JD and Elliot as co-chief residents. It's a promotion, but also leads to more stress. By the end of the season, Elliot temporarily takes a job at a nearby competing hospital, County. She's back at Sacred Heart by pretty early on in Season 5, while JD takes on more responsibility, teaching an incoming set of interns as the new attending. One of those is Elliot's future fiancé, Keith. In Season 6, Elliot makes yet another big career move, starting her own private practice, but she continues to work out of Sacred Heart, making both JD and Dr. Cox jealous of all the money she's making. By the final season, Elliot is on maternity leave, and even before that, she was considering leaving the medical field.
The thing that sticks with me is the anguish on a patient's face when I give them crappy news. I hold on to that forever.
In the very first season, JD goes from doctor to patient when he passes out at a bar. As it turns out, he has appendicitis, and Turk successfully performs the operation. In Season 6, JD deals with yet another bout of fainting and learns he has vasovagal syncope, a condition where certain triggers like stress can cause blackouts. In Season 4, Turk shows signs of having type 2 diabetes, but refuses to get it diagnosed until Carla and his co-workers convince him to. It leads to some serious lifestyle changes for him. In Season 7, Turk also has to get one of his testicles removed after his young daughter kicks him in the crotch. And as we mentioned, Carla has some issues with fertility in Season 5, which are eventually attributed to stress. She soon gets pregnant after that. Scrubs is a mostly lighthearted comedy, but it doesn't shy away from the reality of patients inevitably dying. Quite a few patients die over the course of the series, and often their deaths leave a mark on the doctors. They sometimes even feel guilt for not doing enough.
The only way to judge your growth as a doctor, hell, as a human being, is by making sure you don't repeat the same mistakes over and over.
And sometimes people close to the main characters pass away. Jordan's brother and Dr. Cox's best friend, Ben, finds out he has leukemia near the end of the first season. It goes into remission for a while after treatment, but Ben then doesn't go to any follow-up appointments. He dies of cardiac arrest in Season 3, and Dr. Cox takes it very hard, even briefly blaming JD for it. In Season 4, JD learns from his brother Dan that his father Sam has passed away. This was because the actor who played Sam, John Ritter, really died. In Season 6, Laverne dies suddenly from injuries from a car accident, almost immediately after a debate with Dr. Cox over religion. Her death stuns everyone at Sacred Heart, particularly Carla. Series creator Bill Lawrence wrote Laverne's death into Season 6, assuming it would be the show's last. When it wasn't, actress Aloma Wright returned the next season as Shirley, a nurse who looks just like Laverne. In Season 7, Elliot throws Dr. Kelso a surprise birthday party, inadvertently revealing his age, 65. The hospital board gets word of this and forces Dr. Kelso into retirement. Elliot and Carla rally and convince the board to reverse the board's decision to make Kelso retire, but Kelso decides to retire anyway. In Season 8, Dr. Kelso is replaced as chief of medicine by Dr. Taylor Maddox. Dr. Cox asks Dr. Kelso, who still hangs out around the hospital's coffee shop, to help get Dr. Maddox fired. As it turns out, she's even worse than Dr. Kelso, running an insurance fraud scheme.
How do you think the board would feel if I could show them proof that you're on the take from a medical supply company?
Ultimately, Dr. Kelso blackmails the board into firing Dr. Maddox. Dr. Cox is made chief of medicine. Though Dr. Kelso retires, he remains a recurring character through the end of the series, even becoming a patient at one point. It's unclear as of the making of this video if actor Ken Jenkins will return for the reboot though. By the end of Season 8, just about everyone believed Scrubs was coming to an end. There were signs it was winding down. To cut costs, the lead stopped appearing in every episode. JD was even notably absent from one called My Absence. And the season ends with what sure seems to be an hour-long series finale, where JD goes around saying his goodbyes to everyone while preparing to move closer to his son. But then, something weird happened. ABC opted to continue Scrubs as a spin-off of itself, but kept producing it as a 9th season for syndication purposes. The only main cast members to stay on as regulars were John C. McGinley as Dr. Cox and Donald Faison as Turk. Zach Braff and Sarah Chalk's JD and Elliot appeared in a few episodes, as did Ken Jenkins as Dr. Kelso. Almost everything changed. The show wasn't set at Sacred Heart anymore, partially thanks to the actual hospital that served as the exterior North Hollywood Medical Center having really been demolished. Instead, it moved to new Sacred Heart Hospital and Winston University. The new lead character and narrator was Lucy, a med student played by Kerry Bichet. Cox and Turk were now professors at a medical school, teaching young doctors to be. By all indications, Scrubs Season 9 is being largely ignored in the reboot. The setting is back at Sacred Heart Hospital, which has clearly been rebuilt. And though JD Elliott and Turk clearly have some new interns to teach in Season 10, under the guidance of Dr. Cox, it doesn't look like any of the med students from Season 9 will be there outside of a possible guest appearance or two.